It doesn't matter what industry, what niche, what part of society you're from. The people speaking the loudest, trying to get the most attention, aren't the ones worth listening to. And what do I mean? Well, we're in a world full of influencers, but yet these influencers have little affluence. And what is affluence? In a financial sense, yes, that is great power and wealth. But in the game of life, in the first world, if we choose to acknowledge and play the game, having affluence means you have leverage over this world. You have leverage over this reality. And with great power comes great responsibility and, again, great leverage. And the influencer doesn't have any of that. Are you telling me that a 7-figure online business course e-commerce guru has affluence in this world? Are you telling me that the fate of the world rests upon this single person trying to sell me a course online? Or are you going to tell me that a chosen one, a part of the 144,000 people sent by God in order to change the world, has affluence? Because I don't see any affluence. Same thing with these quantum coaches who are working with the universe, who understand the mechanics and the laws of reality, yet the height of their affluence is selling people this idea, this belief, this strategy, this philosophy. And they're often very loud about it. They need to repeat it. They need to affirm to the world and decree from the rooftops that they're this. And that's who they are, and that's their position. And the more that they decree it, the more I believe it to be bullshit. Because let's draw a line between an influencer versus an affluencer. Because the influencer is the loudest with little leverage. So what is the opposite? A person who moves in silence with great amounts of leverage. And that's how the fate of the world is decided, in silence. We don't hear the direction of the world. We don't see it until it's too late, unless you have foresight, but we're not getting into that. But the direction of the world is decided in essentially silence. It is decided in an undisclosed location. It's decided behind closed doors, behind people who generally don't have a face, generally don't have a name. Yet, these very people have great amounts of leverage. Even in terms of industries, we'll take technology for example. The next greatest thing that's going to change and shape humanity in the direction of where we're all going isn't necessarily found on an Instagram Live, isn't found in a coaching container, isn't found on some guru's podcast. No. It is in a place that's unseen. And like the imagination, all things stem from an unseen realm, which really does solidify the idea of moving in silence. Because as I said, energy and presence speaks the loudest, yet it doesn't speak a single word. Presence and energy doesn't need an affirmation. Presence and energy doesn't need to be repeated. And that is why standing in your truth, your authenticity, without even muttering a word, can lead to greater affluence in this world. Do you think people working on the next best thing are telling it to everyone? Or no? Perhaps they're going to get the job done first and then move and tell the world, this is what I was doing in silence. And now you're seeing the fruits of this very labor. And the fruits of that very labor can manifest for them in great ways. They've gone from a nobody to 8, 9 figures just from operating in silence. Whilst on the other hand, we look at these influencers, we look at these people decreeing, oh look, I'm a 7-figure, I'm worth this, I'm worth that, check out my, rented Lamborghini. Yet, they're fighting for chips, much like a group of seagulls, or a flock of seagulls, I believe they're called. But it goes to show it's a very childish game that's posted on the public forefront. It's essentially a bunch of children, a bunch of people who are unaware of their narcissistic tendencies, trying to one-up one another, trying to surpass one another. And that is why moving in silence is the mature game. Moving in silence is the key forward. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to not decree who you are. We're all a reality designer, but what does that entail? You don't need to say any more than you're just a reality designer. And you will see the fruits of my design in due time. And that sounds a lot more truthful and a lot more impactful than I'm manifesting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I am this, I am that. No, it comes from a place of authenticity because we're all reality designers. There's no lie and there's no sales pitch. And that is just some food for thought. Do you necessarily need to listen to the loudest people? And what do we get out of listening to these types? I know that you will make the right call.